This is the home page for the web application. So as a user, the first thing I might want to do is actually create an account. So to do that from the home page, I'm going to press this login sign up button. And that brings up the login pop-up. And notice now, because I don't actually have an account, I'm going to have to switch to sign up. So that's what I'm going to do. And the pop-up switches to the sign up pop-up. So here I can enter in all of my details, which I'm going to type in. And now that I've done that, provided that my username over here is unique, so that is no other user in the system has that username, I should be able to create an account like this. Great, so now our account should be created. I should be able to log in. And I can type in my username and password. That should let me log in. This has taken me to the My Profile panel of the user dashboard, so I can see all of the user information I entered in while I was signing up. Notice there are a couple of other things that I can specify now that I've logged into my profile. The next thing that I'd want to do is create a new community page. And the way that I do that, I have to send an application to the system administrator to create a new community page. So what I'll do is I'll switch to the My Communities tab in the user dashboard. And you can see at the moment we don't actually have any communities. We're still yet to apply to create one. So to do that, I'm going to press this plus button and me to the application page. And so you can see here are all of the fields that we need to fill out for the application form. Notice that a lot of them have already been filled out because the form is smart enough to actually collect details from our user profile. So see the name of the community, it's collected from our user profile. We could change this if we wanted to. And our personal contact details over here are also being pre-filled. Again, we could change them if we wanted to too. So now going down the sections of this form, the first thing I want to change is the state, the location of our community. So I press this. So I'm going to select Victoria. And that's filled in the state for me. Other information, that's free form. I'm not going to fill it in at the moment, but I could, any other pertinent information. I'm also going to fill in the contact details of the community's authorized representative. So that would be like an elder or some kind of recognized community member that has the authority. So now those are typed in. And I'm just going to fill in our phone number down here as well. So I'll type that in. And now that we're done with the form, I can press submit, and that should send the application to the system admin. And that takes us back to the My Communities tab of the user dashboard. And notice now we actually have the Warrior community over here, but its status is pending because it still hasn't been approved by the system administrator. You can see here that the status for the page has been changed from pending to activated, and that's to simulate the system administrator approving the page's application. The next thing I want to do is start customizing this community page, my Warrior page. So what I'm going to do is click on this over here. First, let's go have a look at the required content tab. This is the page that I have access to all of the content that can be specified by the page owner. So you can see over here, we can choose to add in a map. So what I'll do is drag from my local machine, my computer, an image or a map that I have for the community, drag that in this text box over here. I can actually write a community description, a brief community description. So I'm going to type that in right now. And in this bottom component here, this is where we start adding in the seasons. So if we press this, it opens up a component that we can specify the details of a season. So we can add the name of the season, we can drag in a symbol for the season, we can specify its starting calendar month, ending calendar month, and then any additional description that we want for the season. Now that we're in the Page Collaborators tab, we can see which people are able to contribute to the page. So we can see the page owner right here, and we can see at the moment we don't have any page contributors, but we have this. What we're going to do is start typing in the usernames of some of our students in here. As we start typing, what will happen is the system will automatically start searching for users who match the text that we input into this text box. So we can see that the system has already found us 4 different users that match the name that we started to type in. Now if we skim down this list, we can see that John is actually one of our students. So we're going to click John. Clicking John's username has added him as a page contributor. So you can see his status over here is activated. And the text box is bumped down in case we want to add any more students. One quick thing is that if we subsequently realize that actually we've added someone that we don't want to add, or we'd just like to deactivate this user, all I have to do is press this, and that deactivates the user. So they're not able to contribute to the page anymore. Now we're going to talk about how we actually would create these components ourselves if we wanted to add content to our web page. And this is the functionality that is available to page contributors and students. Something I want to do is start managing the custom content for my web page. So the custom components submitted by my page contributors or students. So the way that I do that is I'm going to switch to the Page Content Customization tab. In this tab, I can see all of the components that have been submitted by my page contributors or students. So the first thing that you'll notice is that I have the option of actually adding all of these components, all these custom content, to my web page, to my community page. So the way that I do that is by pressing all of these add buttons here. So I'll press this one and add this one. So now all of these components have been added to the web page. And likewise, so if I see that actually there's one that I don't want to add to the web page, I can remove it. And now it's been removed from the web page. There are a few other things that I can do to make actually looking at these components a little bit more simple. So when I have a lot of components, I might actually want to filter them by the ones that I've already added or removed. So for example, if I press this filter over here, then it opens this drop-down list and I can select if I want to see all of the components, just the ones that have been added, or the ones that have not yet been added to the page or omitted. For the moment, let's leave them as all. I want to view all the components. Other important filter is the filter by seasonality filter. So if we press this, you can see that I have the option of choosing just to view the components that have seasonal information. So that is information that varies by season versus the components that do not vary by season. So the non-seasonal components. So in this case, let's say that I just want to view all of the components that do vary by season, the seasonal components. So let's press this filter. Now I can see only the one seasonal component on this page is left. If I want to switch between the information pertaining to each season, then I can press this next season or previous season button. And again, and that's it. So to create a new component, I'm going to first go into this My Components tab. And we can see at the moment this section is completely empty for us because this user hasn't actually created any of their own components. So to do that, to create their first component, we're going to go into this. This opens the component editor. And so the first step in creating our own component is to select one of the templates from the predefined list. And so I see here I have the option of choosing either a photo album, an image with text, a video, or a text-only template. So in this case, I want to choose the most complex one. Let's choose the image with text. And the next thing I want to do is choose whether or not this component is going to be seasonal or non-seasonal. So in this case, we're going to choose a seasonal component. And so this gives me the scaffold for my template, my editable scaffold, which I can start filling in the details for my template. So over here, I can specify a title and description. So I'm going to type these in. And I can also drag in images from my computer. So in this case, I have a couple of bar graphs that I've created with Microsoft Word, which I'm going to drag into the component editor. So what we actually have to do is rotate through all of the seasons and add information pertaining to each of them. So let's do that. In another bar graph. And the next season, drag in the last bar graph. And now that we're done creating our component, so we finished all of the seasons that have been specified for this community, we just have to press save. And now we can see back in our My Components panel of the community dashboard, we have the component that we've just created. Now that we've finished customizing our page for the time being, the next thing we want to go and do is have a look at the web page in the web browser. So what we're going to do is go back to the home page and search our community. Let's go back to the dashboard first. And now we're going to log out. And now we're back at the home page and we can see that Warrow is now represented down here underneath Victoria. So our community page has been published. So now go and view that page. We can either click on the respective geographic marker on the map, or we can click the Warrow text right here. So let's do that. So now we can see our web page and all of the components and customized content that we've added. And notice that we could scroll down the web page and we can see all of our custom components that we've added as well. And just one point to add is that if we want to cycle through the information pertaining to each different season, then we can do that like we have previously using these next season and previous season buttons. So at the moment we can see we're at Waltai. If we want to switch to Paranati, then we can go next season. So here we go. And notice that the relevant page custom components have changed as well. And that completes the viewing functionality for the web page. We'll also go over the mobile experience for the application. So a user first opens the application. The application should automatically open a page pertaining to the nearest Indigenous community. So in this case, since we've opened the application in Melbourne, we've opened to the Warroa page. Additionally, the information displayed to us, or the seasonal information displayed to us, should be dependent on the phone's current calendar time. So we can see over here, since we're currently in March, we're displayed information pertaining to the Indigenous season that corresponds with the March period. Now, like the web page, we can scroll down through all of the information depicted in the application. Just show you the entire content for the mobile application for the moment, even though on the actual screen this content would be truncated. Now, in order to view information pertaining to the different seasons for the mobile application, this is just a matter of swiping the entire application left and right as you would using the phone. The moment, say I want to move to the next season, I'm going to swipe to the right. And notice that takes us to the next calendar season, or the next indigenous season, with all of the seasonal information on the application. So in this case, it was just the bar graph component changing to the respective season. Now, one other point to note, notice that the bar graph that we had in the web page also had some extra information over here on the side, the title and the description of the bar graph. In the mobile app, if we want to access that, all we have to do is hold our finger down over this component, and this will display to us the text information for that graph. Taking our finger off, turn us back to the original bar graph. There's one other piece of functionality in the web application that we haven't mentioned so far, and that is the System Administration tab. This tab here was not previously available in the user dashboard for ordinary users, contributors, and owners. It is only available to the system administrator. What this gives us is a list of all of the communities present in the application. Here we've only listed 3, as well as the status of those respective community pages. Notice in this case, this WARA community pending indicates a community whose application has not yet been approved. So they don't yet have a page. They've submitted an application, but it's not yet been approved. After reviewing the application, we can then activate that page, that is, make the page publicly available on the website by clicking this. Likewise, if I decide that I want to deactivate, that is, make not publicly available any of the community pages, then I can see any of these activated pages and click this to deactivate them. This will make the page publicly unavailable, so no ordinary user would be able to look up the page on the application.